friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about plants that I will not be buying again. Or like I will not own again, because some of them I didn't buy, or like I gifted, or they just got like, I adopted them after my flatmates left. Stuff like that. But plants that I would not own again. I was thinking about this after I did my plants I don't like video, because there's one plant on there, the peace lily, which I've had before, I just don't like it, and I included it on the list anyway. But I thought, I think I have some more of those, so let me share with you what they are. If you're new here and you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet, so if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. Right, so let's spill the tea on plants that I would never own again. Also, I should preface this whole video by saying these are just my opinions. You are welcome to your opinions as well, and I don't mean any of this to offend anybody. Like, this is just how I feel. And I don't mind if you like these plants and you want them and want to buy them, frickin' do it! There's more for you because I'm not getting any, so yeah. The first plant on this list, I don't think it'll surprise any of you. It is a Croton. I am just not a fan. I never would have picked this plant out for myself. The only reason that we had one is because my old flatmate got one because he absolutely loved it, and then when he moved out, he just left it for me to care for. And it... the sort of like red, orange, yellow colors, I think they can be super spectacular, but they just didn't match anything else in my home, and like they just didn't go. And like kind of in my old flat where we had like red accents, it worked, but in this new flat where like there's pretty much no red at all, it just does not. And I mean, I didn't even have it. I got rid of it before we even brought it to this new flat. Sorry if the lights changed, the sun's just come out. But this is what our Croton looked like, and they're just so fussy as well. Like, they hate being moved, like absolutely detest it. And so it's like pretty regular for you to buy one and then bring it home and then it just drops a bunch of leaves because they hate being moved. Like that causes them so much stress that they're just like, I don't need these leaves, let me just get rid of them all. And I'm like, what kind of plant does that? Like, oh, why? Like, I get that it's stressed, but I just wish it didn't do that, and I think that would make me like it so much more. But like, once it starts doing that, like, luckily this one didn't, but after a while it just decided it didn't like our home anymore, and it just gave up essentially. So it just started dropping all of its leaves and became quite an ugly plant, so I got rid of it. But yeah, I don't think I would ever buy one again. I think you'd have to show me a really, really, really spectacular looking one for me to want to give them another go, because they're just not my vibe. And that's okay. The next one will probably come to no surprise if any of you have been here for a while. Spider plants. Given I've never bought one, I've only ever gotten them through propagations, so maybe it would be different if I buy one, but I have tried spider plants so many times. Like, spider plants are the plant I've tried the most out of every like sort of plant. I have tried and failed with them, like, I think at least 5 times, if not more. Like every time I do it and then they fail, I just swear off of them. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try again. Maybe I've learned more, blah, blah, blah. It's been in like a few years. Let me try again. But freaking same thing happens again. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I think they just don't like me. I've tried neglect. I've tried giving them lots of attention. I've tried really bright spots. I've tried dark spots. I've tried so much. And not a single one has grown for me. I don't have one. Every single one dies. Every single one. So I will never again, I don't think, jump at the opportunity to have one. I will maybe if there's like a really big established one, I would try it, but honestly, I just think I would kill it, so there's kind of no point. Like, I don't feel like I need that in my life, and I don't think I could handle having so many props because they put out babies like crazy if they're doing well, so I think they're beautiful, but they're just not for me, and I am sad about that one. But I cannot suffer that trauma again, and I've suffered it so many times at this point. I just can't do it again. The next one is a Peperomia Raindrop. So I've only had this plant once or twice, and I got this one because one of my followers or something found it in a garden center and was like, oh my god, look at this, because it had variegation on it. And I was like, oh, that is freaking cool, because I couldn't find them being sold with variegation on them anywhere online. And so I was like, well, give me, please. And I have had peperomias on and off here and there, but I've never really been able to keep them alive either. Like, it's been difficult for me. So I wanted to give it another go. So I did. I got the plant, and for a while it was doing really well, and then it started to decline. And eventually it just died. And so I have pictures of some of these things because I think it's important to show that not everything's perfect all the time, but a lot of the time I just feel like a bit embarrassed and sad that I've killed a plant at the same time. I know probably all of you do as well, but it is normal. You can't keep everything alive, but it's still just like, it hurts when there's a plant that you do quite like and you just can't. But I don't think I would try a raindrop peperomia again. I think I only liked this one because it was variegated and slightly different, and I thought like, oh, maybe it might be rare. But the leaves just didn't actually do it for me that much. So once it started declining, I didn't feel like I wanted to save it as much as I would with some of my other plants. So yeah, yeah, I wouldn't get a Peperomia Raindrop again. So the next plant on the list, it kind of hurts at the same time, but it is Fittonias. So Fittonia was one of my first plants. My first two plants I ever got at the same time was like a Scindapsus and a Fittonia. And the Scindapsus is still alive and doing great. I mean, maybe not great, but it's still living and it's doing its thing. I love it. But the Fittonia, they are just too much of a drama queen for me. Like, I have tried several of them and I've probably managed to kill most of them except for the ones that I've kept in a terrarium, which grew like crazy, but then I was just like, I don't really care about this terrarium anymore. Like, they didn't excite me as much as a lot of my other plants did. Their growth pattern, I think, also just doesn't do it for me. Like, it doesn't excite me, which is unfortunate. And the fact that they just get so droopy and then perk up so much, it's like constant feeling like I've killed a plant. It's like a freaking roller coaster of emotions the entire time, and I don't need that sort of stress in my life. Them needing that constant moisture is not something that I can do. I feel like I am chronically an underwaterer rather than an overwaterer, because I feel like it's more possible to come back from underwatering than overwatering. So I just rather underwater, and Fittonias don't handle that, and I think I'm okay with not having one ever again. Also, I only really liked the white and green ones. I feel like the red and the pink ones are cool-ish and they look different and weird, but I just don't think I would go for one again. I think one would have to like really astound me in order for me to try it again, or I'd have to put it in a terrarium environment, which I don't have any terrariums at the minute. I could probably put one in the cabinet, but even still, like, I think they thrived even better in that one because I was like, it never wilted in that because it was a closed system and it always had moisture in there, and there was like quite high humidity inside of my little terrarium, so it made sense. But I don't think I have space in my heart for them anymore, which is a shame because it was like I can look back at them fondly, and like I loved my first one, and I'm so glad that I got it, and it brought me into the plant world and taught me how to care for plants in ways that I never would have guessed, but I wouldn't do it again. And I probably won't ever buy one again. Sorry, my camera battery's about to die, so the angle's gonna change in 1 second. I just need to stop this before it does so I don't lose this footage. So, BRB, 1 second. I'm back, thanks. So this next plant might ruffle some feathers because I know a lot of people who really do like this plant. But it is the Philodendron Painted Lady. So I have had actually like 1.5 of these. I got my first one I think a couple years back, and it was just a 1-leaf cutting, and I thought I really liked it, but after a while I didn't seem to care about it as much anymore. I think the sort of yellow green leaves plus the pink stems, it's just a color combination that I don't think suits me. I do feel bad about it because I want to like it, because I think, like, in theory I would, but I don't. And so I ended up selling one of them to Lisa, Happy Plant Collector, and that's how we became friends. And then I've given my other one away, which was a prop to the Jungle Haven Claire, because I knew she really wanted one and really liked them. But I just don't see the appeal. I wanted to see the appeal, I just don't. It just didn't grow for me in a way that I liked, and it didn't suit me. And that's fair, I guess. Not all plants are gonna suit me, but the Painted Lady was one that I tried. I really tried with it. I really wanted to like it, but it didn't do it. It just didn't. So next up on this list is a Dracaena. So like the Dracaena Margarita ones. Is that how you say it? Is it Margarita? It's probably not, but these plants. And I had one for a really long time that I got from my local grocery store, Morrison's, and I did quite like it. I ended up murdering it because in our old flat, our downstairs bedroom was so cold, like where we slept and where it could live, where I had space for it, was so cold that I think it got cold damage and just like died, which is kind of annoying and embarrassing on my part, but it's fine. But also, the reason why I won't get one again is actually because of Cleo. They are toxic to cats and dogs, and Cleo absolutely freaking loved that thing. She, like, I think it just, the sort of fronds were just the right thing for her to try and, like, bat at and, like, bite and stuff, and I couldn't justify having sort of that sort of thin, long plant in my home again if it is toxic to Cleo, just because I love her so much and I couldn't do anything that would possibly kill her, and I just don't think I like them quite enough to put them far enough away from her, if that makes sense. So I'm just not gonna get one again, and that's fine. I have my white jewel, and I absolutely love that, and Cleo doesn't go for that one, I think because its leaves are like thicker, but I just wouldn't get the sort of classic sort of Dr. Seuss looking Dracaena again, which is fair. I don't need one. So next, I just kind of want a blanket statement. I will try some again, but I'm going to be very, very, very selective about these. It's kind of like cacti and succulents in general. I think because my home is naturally very humid, because I've got, what, 200 plants here, and I live in the UK, which is naturally humid, and, like, I don't know, our home is just, like, usually 50-60% almost all the time, and that's with nothing added. So I don't even use a humidifier half the time, because my home's just so freaking humid. So having, like, a sort of cactus or a succulent in this space, especially if it's not like a humidity loving one, like my fishbone cactus, yes, I freaking love it. My Ripsalis, I think it's called, yes, but the sort of classic, really dry, hot, sun-loving cacti and succulents, I don't think they're ever going to work for me unless I move to a different country. Because also, like, it's just dark in the UK as well, and it's cloudy so much, and these plants aren't going to be able to get that sort of sun that they so crave. So it's just, I can't justify doing that and like buying plants just to kill them. I've killed so many, but I think probably the one that made this list so important was the coral cactus. I don't know what I did wrong with that one. It just suddenly went whoop, and it fell over out of absolutely nowhere, and I just won't ever again. And it's unfortunate because I think there's some really, really, really beautiful cacti and succulents out there. In my home here, I don't think they'll live, and so I'm not going to get any more. This next one, I will never buy again. It is an asparagus fern. A lot of ferns, actually, you'd think they would do well because it's dark and humid in my home, but for some reason I also kill them, so it's like, I don't know. But my asparagus fern, it was, when I was living in my old flat, it just kept dropping needles and going yellow, and it just did not grow for me, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and I got it from a friend who, it was dying for her. Maybe it was just too far gone when I got it. That could very well be the case, but it just, there's no words. I'm just not gonna do it ever again, and the sun's just come out again, and it's probably really bright in here. Oh. But yeah, my asparagus fern, I just don't think I would do it again. I didn't enjoy it as much. I think also I didn't like the sort of foliage on it. I much prefer like a big broad leaf than a bunch of like tiny little tiny like needles. Like it just wasn't for me. And so I think I ended up selling it. I either sold it or I killed it. Or gave it away. One or the other. So last but certainly not least is the Arecea or Kentia palms. Or like most palms, I think. Probably the only one that I would get again would be maybe a parlor palm because I liked their size. But something about them just, I think again it's like the sort of like long spindly leaves. Cleo also did really like the palms, but they're cat safe, so like that was a pro for them. But also, I don't want to encourage her to eat plants, so if I can avoid getting plants that she can eat, or like letting her eat those plants, I will. I don't want to like let her do it, because then she'll get it in her head that she can eat all of them, and then she might get sick and die, which we can't be having because I love my cat. So, yeah, I think I really struggle with mine as well. I think what was it? The Arecea palm that Joe got first, so Joe bought it, not me. This was before we lived together. It was living in their flat, and it was doing okay. It just kept like browning at the tips, and we could never really figure out why. We don't know if it was the water or lack of humidity or what. I don't think it was very humid in their home, so maybe it was that. But it ended up dying once it moved to my house, I think because of thrips. This was before I understood thrips enough to like be able to make a distinct call on that, but I'm pretty sure it was thrips. And then I got a Kentia palm to like replace it, and that one just like decided it wanted to die as well. And that one I actually genuinely have no idea why it didn't, because it was living in my home, it's nice and humid, and it just like its leaves just went yellower and yellower, and it was just like down to one or two, and I was like, this plant isn't nice anymore. Like I like the way they look, but they just don't live well for me, I don't think. So I won't get one anymore. I won't pay for one, and I probably wouldn't trade for one either. Also, like my footstool palm, that I got at a trade, and it wasn't doing very well to begin with. but it just didn't, it never continued to do well for me. So I think yeah, I think palms just aren't for me, which is fine. They don't have to be. So that is it. That is my list of plants that I won't be buying again or won't own again. I don't want them. I would love to hear what sort of plants you would never own again or buy again. Like, tell me your experiences. I think it's so interesting hearing what other people have to say on stuff like this, because we all have such different experiences like collecting plants, because we live in different homes and we have different care styles and stuff like that. So I really like hearing what other people maybe not struggle with, but like how other people have experienced different plants. So yeah, do let me know which ones you wouldn't buy it down below in the comments. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!